They hate the truth. So when you talk to somebody about the gospel, there may be a natural tendency to avoid talking about the true condition of a non-believer. You have to have some courage to do that. You have to be willing to take the hostility. And when they reject with hostility, you say, that's exactly what I would expect. That's the evidence of the depth of your sin, that you will not believe because you cannot believe. Back in John 5, verse 39, Jesus says to these same Jewish leaders, you search the scriptures. You actually have the Old Testament because you think that in the scriptures you have eternal life. It is these that testify about me. I am the subject of the scriptures. Jesus points that out in Luke 24 when he tells the disciples that he went back into the Old Testament, the law, the prophets, and the writings, and spoke to them of everything concerning himself. They're about me. Verse 40, and you are unwilling to come to me so that you may have life. The offer of life, the true offer, the true gospel, will offend. It will generate hostility and hatred. And because it's the truth, they can't accept it. Because they are under such pervasive deception. And verse 40 sums it up as saying, you are unwilling to come to me so that you may have life. I can offer you that life. I do offer you that life. You have no capacity to come and receive it. Now over to John 6, verse 44. No one can come to me, no one, unless the Father who sent me draws him. You don't have a capacity to come. You are so profoundly captive to sin. You are under the deceptive leadership of Satan. You have a natural aversion to the truth, particularly the truth about your own wretchedness. You are unwilling to come, and you are unable to come. So if I were to define total depravity in a simple way, it is simply this, that people on their own are unwilling and unable to come to Christ. And I would go a step further and say, that is true, but what is also true is that they are hostile to his message. That's why it's so hard to enter the kingdom, because it requires a reassessment of yourself that a self-protective sinner has no capacity to accomplish. So the most hated doctrine is that everyone is a sinner, and seriously so, and profoundly so, so that it incapacitates, so that it's impossible to believe the truth, so that the truth sounds like a lie, so that Jesus sounds like a demon-possessed person. This most hated doctrine then has to be followed with the fact that sin brings judgment. So this is your condition. You are a sinner, and you are headed for eternal judgment in hell. That is so offensive, so unacceptable, so unbelievable. It's the most hated doctrine. So Evangelicalism, in its current form, decides to bypass that and say Jesus wants you happy. He wants you successful. He wants you to work up a list that you'd like him to give you, and you can speak it into existence. And whatever your carnal desires are, Jesus is here to satisfy your carnal desires. You don't have to recognize that you're a sinner. In fact, you're born innocent. You don't have to believe that he's the Son of God. You don't even have to follow the Christian religion, because God accepts all religions. If I say to people, Jesus will give you eternal life, but God accepts any religion, that's not offensive. If I say, well, the Bible's a wonderful book and it has a lot of truth, but of course it's not all true, some of it's myth, that's not offensive, because you can pick the parts that you want to be myth and eliminate them. But when you say, this is the truth, this is all the truth, and the truth is that you are a sinner, dead in trespasses and sins, as we will see, and your default position is to believe lies to such a degree that the truth seems demonic. That's how profoundly evil you are. And you are headed for eternal judgment. You have just destroyed the sinner's house of cards that he has built for self-protection. So this is the most hated doctrine, but at the same time it is the most distinctively Christian doctrine. It is the most distinctively Christian doctrine. What do I mean by that? I mean this: no other religion has this doctrine. Did you hear that? No other religion has this doctrine. Because all other religions are some form of works salvation. Some good in me that can achieve salvation, can gain favor with the deity, or can cooperate with God. All religion, even all false forms of Christianity, affirm that people are good or have enough good in them, a prevenient kind of grace that allows them to contribute to their salvation. They can choose to believe. They can choose to be saved. They can choose to accept Christ. They can bring some of their religiosity, some of their morality, some of their human goodness as part of the payment for salvation. Every religion is that way. Only Christianity says you bring nothing. Salvation is not by works, lest any man should boast. It is by grace. Only Christianity teaches that. And in order to be a Christian, you have to understand that the salvation that you receive is all of grace. Because if you add works, then grace is no more grace. So the doctrine of human depravity is the most hated doctrine. It is the most distinctively Christian doctrine. Only Christian truth teaches that. It is also the most contrary Christian doctrine. It is rejected, and this goes back to what I read earlier. It is the most rejected doctrine because human fallenness is a condition of deception, of darkness, of deadness. and reason can never escape the fall. The universal condition of all men is they are all deceived. The God of this world, 2 Corinthians 4:4, has blinded the minds of the unbelieving, lest the glorious gospel of Christ should come to them.